In the Trader Rundown today, Dan Deming of KKM Financial has his eyes all over this ever-increasing stock market. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, continues to grind higher.
It continues to grind higher. Is there anything that could potentially be a catalyst this week that you're watching? We have earnings. Let's start there.
We have earnings. We have a lot of earnings, and we have a few economic reports out of Washington. But I think the one thing that's building some traction, or gaining some traction, I should say, is this 5-year congressional meeting that's going to take place in China.
So we should be watching China. We should be paying attention to this.
This is once every 5 years they have this Congress that gets together, and apparently that it could initiate some major shifts in economic policy, and the market is, to this point, appears to be underestimating the possible ramifications of what might come out of that meeting.
So if we start to hear rumblings about trade issues per se,
trade issues or currency, debt is another thing. If they change the debt policy over there or restructure some of those policies they have in place, that could have a impact across the global markets, and so a lot of the commodity prices are based off demand from China. We're seeing the currencies are obviously based off of the Chinese currency as well. That influences the market, and we're seeing again global demand just really picking up somewhat from China right now. So that's why I think helping to stir this economic build that we're seeing, and the market continues to grind higher from that as well.
There's lots of bolstering happening to this economy. Let's take a look at earnings. What's your feelings about the banks now that bank earnings are out? Bank of America came out Friday with some great news.
It did.
JP Morgan was decent.
Exactly.
Citigroup.
The response was a little bit muted. We saw some volatility. We saw some price movement in those banks, but overall, I think a fair amount of this was already built in. You didn't have any major outliers in those bank numbers, and it still looks like the trend is positive moving forward, particularly if we see rates continue to possibly grind higher. That's going to fall through to the bottom line for these banks, and that's something that is viewed as beneficial moving forward.
Any earnings on your radar?
This week. Well, Netflix today.
Exactly.
So
Netflix
that's
is a good one.
A big one, and then we do have. There's a lot of S&P 500 names this week. So you have Johnson & Johnson and some other ones. So I think you're just going to see the amalgamation of all these earnings start to roll out, and I want to see how these sectors are going to react, because we certainly look at all the different sectors within the S&P when we're analyzing this market.
Have a good trading day.
Thanks for having me, Ange.